Cove is quite a unique peninsula in the Middle Harbour because it's the only peninsula that has not been completely urbanised.
Nasturtium is a garden escape that will cover the ground and swamp all the other ground cover.
We're trying to concentrate on the interface between the urban environment and the natural bush.
Trying to get out some of this Madeira vine. It can spread very quickly with all these nodules.
When we first arrived at the site, most of it was covered with lantana, and we just took small amounts of it away and let the native bush come back and take over the gaps.
One of the biggest problems are vine weeds because they get up into the canopy and cover the canopy completely.
This is an asparagus fern, a garden escapee.
They tend to grow into really sort of bushy, prickly shrubs.
The birds love the berries and they spread it like crazy. And that's all we bag. And the rest we put back very carefully to get all the mulch layers organised back how they were so that all the little bugs and things are all living in their original habitat. The natives prefer to regenerate into undisturbed layers of mulch.
People come and live here, they enjoy this natural environment, and of course they take possession of their bush.
We live on the bush and it's such a beautiful outlook. It's just my way of contributing back.
I certainly regard the bush as being my backyard.
Commonly known as farmer's friend or cobbler's pegs, it has little hooks on the seed that hook onto your trousers. So the bush regenerators inadvertently spread that seed as they're working through it.
A bit of a roller coaster ride at times. The things that grow really fast are often the weeds.
The council has been really supportive of us, and I highlight the year is probably the council picnic when all the bush care groups get together and they throw some refreshments.
We've all done some of the council courses.
We come together from the neighbourhood as a community and support each other and make sure that this will be kept like this in the future.
It's a good way to meet our neighbours.
It's very therapeutic just sitting out and weeding.
It's a hard life really, is it? Eating cakes, drinking coffee.
That's how I've met most of my neighbours, is through the bush regeneration.
This is a weed, the paspalum. I'm just cutting around the roots. You don't have to dig down very deep. If I just dig in here and around the base of it and pull it off, it's just easily removed. So it's just removing weeds like that and letting the natives grow in their place, fingers crossed.
You come back after a month away and think, oh, how are we going to get on top of this? And then you have a few good months and you can see real progress.
You can't do it fast. It's slower if you try and do it fast. You have to do a bit at a time and wait for the bush to regenerate itself.
This is an example of regeneration, native natural regeneration in the area.
It's taken probably 2 years to do most of the site and get it back to reasonable condition.
Today it looks much better than, for instance, 30 years ago.
Behind me here we've got a section of lantana which, even though it's been cut off at the base and painted with a touch of glyphosate to kill the root, we've left the lantana itself in the tree as habitat for native birds. The small native birds particularly like to use the lantana as a camouflage. But you can see where the native ferns are starting to come back into the area since the lantana has been cleared.
There's different attitudes to how you protect your property against fire. It's kindling that burns. People don't see the big trees as being such a big fire risk. So you can afford to have this kind of level of bush fairly near to properties without too much of a hazard. It takes a lot of education of not just our bush care people but the local neighbours to stop the whole lot going back to how it was.
There's certainly neighbours around that don't realise what's happening down here. a beggar to control. It's a thing called Black-eyed Susan.
And it just takes over this cluster here of native ferns.
And I have great difficulty removing those, mainly because I don't have the patience.
Well, Black-eyed Susan are quite a pretty flower, and the Black-eyed Susan tends to take over, and all it fosters is then the imported bee that comes and feeds on the nectar of the Black-eyed Susan, and they compete then in turn with the native bees, which are much smaller, and they're essential, for instance, for the pollination of certain indigenous plants.
When we first started clearing this area, it was almost silent.
There's a lot of wrens that are now coming out.
First time I've seen a willy wagtail down there.
The cockatoos and the kookaburras.
There's 2 tawny frogmouths that sit right out on our balcony.
They come back very early, before the regeneration's hardly got away.
Mainly because we've cleared it and because we've also gotten rid of some of the wild cats that are around the area.
I've had a red-bellied black snake on my property.
We've seen echidnas down here. I nearly ran on one on a run. That was really exciting. And someone's seen a wallaby.
Blue tongues, water dragons. There's lots of water dragons around here. There's other ones not quite so desirable. We have large numbers of funnel web spiders around this area, but they're meant to be here.
Bush is really alive. You really hear the sound of the birds.
There's been huge improvement, and so that's really nice to see that we are actually making headway.
It's an island of nature in the middle of the city, and I'd like to see it stay that way, perhaps with a little bit more cooperation from the residents to look after the areas of the bush that come close to the backs of their place.